Have you ever walked away from a conversation burdened with the regret of not speaking up? That lingering thought, "I should have said something," can haunt us longer than we expect. Silence, though sometimes wise, can also be a prison. It can cost us opportunities, deepen misunderstandings, and leave important truths unspoken. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that while silence has its place, there are moments when speaking up is not just an option, it's a duty. In today's video, we're diving into 5 critical situations where staying silent isn't just a mistake, it's a disservice to yourself and to those around you. Whether it's standing against injustice, expressing your true feelings, or defending your values, there are moments when your voice is the most powerful tool you have. The wisdom of Stoic philosophy teaches us that courage is not just about enduring hardship. It's also about knowing when to break the silence and speak with purpose. So if you've ever hesitated to voice your thoughts or felt trapped by the fear of confrontation, this is for you. Stay with me as I will be exploring the 5 situations where silence should be shattered. Because sometimes the words you don't say are the ones you'll regret the most. Let's begin. Number 1, speak up when your limits are tested. Personal boundaries are not just invisible lines that mark your space. They are a reflection of your self-worth, your values, and the dignity you uphold for yourself. But have you ever felt those boundaries being crossed? Have you stayed silent, fearing that speaking up might complicate things further? Over time, this silence can do more than harm your inner peace. It enables others to continue overstepping, leaving you feeling unseen and disrespected. Stoicism reminds us that protecting our boundaries isn't a selfish act. It's a declaration of self-respect and self-awareness. As Epictetus so aptly put it, no man is free who is not master of himself. To master yourself means to hold firm to your principles, not with aggression, but with calm and clarity. Imagine you're a dedicated professional and your colleagues constantly offload extra work onto you because they know you won't refuse. At first you oblige, hoping to foster goodwill and teamwork. But as the workload piles up, you find yourself overwhelmed and undervalued. What began as an act of kindness morphs into a feeling of being taken for granted. You want to say something, but the fear of disrupting harmony holds you back. Yet with every moment of silence, your frustration grows and your self-esteem erodes. Can you see how this silence is not peace, but a quiet betrayal of your own needs and values? Stoicism teaches that when we allow others to repeatedly violate our boundaries without speaking up, we not only diminish our self-respect, but also weaken the foundation of mutual respect in any relationship. Speaking up is not about rejecting others. It's about affirming your worth and setting a standard for how you expect to be treated. By standing firm, you send a powerful message. You value yourself, and you expect others to do the same. This isn't about creating distance, but about fostering relationships built on trust and fairness. Speaking up, however, doesn't mean being confrontational or aggressive. The key lies in approaching the situation with calmness, understanding, and a firm sense of purpose. Imagine a friend who constantly relies on you for help, but never reciprocates when you're in need. Instead of bottling up resentment, you could say, "I'm always happy to help, but I'd also appreciate some support when I need it. I hope we can work towards a more balanced friendship." This approach not only communicates your boundaries, but also opens the door to a healthier, more equitable relationship. As Seneca reminded us, "He who is brave is free." Bravery here is not about defiance. It's about having the courage to assert your needs with grace and integrity. Consider the countless situations in life where silence is not the answer. A mother might feel undervalued when her family assumes she will take on all the household responsibilities without acknowledgement. A young employee may feel overburdened by unreasonable demands from a supervisor. A partner in a relationship might feel neglected when their shared agreements are repeatedly broken. In all these scenarios, silence does not resolve the issue, it prolongs it. If you don't speak up, how will others ever know they are hurting you? And if they don't know, how can they change? Courage is the cornerstone of freedom. Seneca's words remind us that asserting yourself is a profound act of liberation. Speaking up when your boundaries are crossed doesn't just free you from the weight of unspoken frustrations. It also creates a pathway to healthier, more respectful connections. True courage lies not in shouting or blaming, but in calmly articulating your feelings and expectations in a way that invites understanding rather than conflict. Think back to times when you stayed silent as your boundaries were tested. Did you feel regret afterward? Did you feel as though your value had been diminished in the eyes of others? If you could go back, would you choose to assert yourself instead? These reflections are not about dwelling on past mistakes, but about inspiring a change in how you approach such situations in the future. They remind you of the power you hold to shape the way others treat you. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are the foundations of a balanced and meaningful life. When you stand up for your boundaries, you're not only protecting your self-esteem, but also fostering relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you respond. And when you choose to respond with courage and self-respect, you embody the very essence of Stoic wisdom. Speaking up when your boundaries are challenged is not an act of selfishness. It is a way of honoring yourself. It is a step toward mastering your inner world, embracing your values, and inviting others to engage with you on equal and respectful terms. Each time you summon the courage to voice your truth, you free yourself a little more from the chains of silence and fear. You align yourself with a life of authenticity, harmony, and profound meaning. Remember the wisdom of the Stoics. He who is brave is free. By embracing that bravery, you move closer to true freedom, not just in your relationships, but in your very being. However, personal boundaries are not the only things that demand our vigilance in life. There are moments when truth itself is at stake, when honesty becomes the cornerstone of preserving our deepest values. In such moments, speaking up is not just about affirming ourselves, but about safeguarding something greater, our integrity. For truth, no matter how challenging it may be, is the guiding light that upholds courage and dignity. This leads us to the next reflection in Stoicism, a reminder to embrace honesty as a fundamental act of strength and virtue. Number 2, stand for truth to protect your integrity. Truth is the foundation of human dignity, the guiding light that helps us live a meaningful life. Yet in the most challenging moments, when truth most needs to be defended, it is often the first thing we sacrifice. We remain silent not because we cannot discern right from wrong, but because we are afraid of confrontation, afraid of consequences, afraid of disrupting a fragile peace. But does this silence truly protect us? Or does it erode our integrity one quiet moment at a time? Stoicism has long regarded truth as indispensable to living a virtuous life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is more than a guiding principle. It is a reminder that every choice we make reflects who we are. When you choose silence in the face of wrongdoing, you don't merely allow others to misunderstand you. You forfeit the opportunity to stand up for what you value most. Consider a familiar situation. At work, you witness a colleague being unfairly blamed for a mistake they didn't commit. You know the truth, but the weight of workplace dynamics, the fear of alienation or reprisal, keeps you quiet. In such moments, silence is not just avoidance, it is complicity. It allows injustice to thrive and sends the message that you are willing to tolerate it. Stoicism reminds us that living rightly isn't about choosing the path of least resistance. It's about doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. As Epictetus observed, who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. The courage to speak the truth is not about defeating others, but about overcoming the fear within. When you defend the truth, you build trust, not only with others, but also within yourself. In a world where truth is often obscured by convenience or fear, acts of honesty shine brightly. Trust cannot thrive without truth. Ask yourself, would you rather live in a community where lies preserve a superficial harmony, or one where people are courageous enough to be honest, even when it's difficult? Defending the truth, however, doesn't mean being blunt or unkind. The art of honesty lies in knowing how to speak the truth wisely and with grace. Listen before you speak, choose the right moment, and deliver your message with sincerity. This approach not only reduces conflict, but also strengthens the impact of your words. When you decide to speak, ask yourself, does this build or break? Am I seeking to uplift or to assert my ego? Stoicism emphasizes that protecting the truth is not about winning arguments, but about staying true to your values. When you choose honesty, you set a moral standard, not just for yourself, but for those around you. In a world where truth is often distorted, your courage to speak up becomes a beacon for others. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Don't waste energy debating what's right. Act on it. In our daily lives, we often face choices between comfort and integrity. An employee might stay silent about a colleague's misconduct to preserve their standing. A friend might hesitate to confront someone they care about, fearing a rupture in the relationship. But ask yourself, if you don't speak up, who will? Your silence might maintain a temporary peace, but over time, it will erode the foundation of trust. Defending the truth is not just a moral act, it is the only way to build a life of meaning. When you speak up, you don't just stand for what you believe in, you inspire others to do the same. Truth may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. The next time you face a situation where truth is at stake, ask yourself, is this silence a reflection of wisdom or a way to avoid responsibility? Let your honesty be the foundation of your dignity. To live a meaningful life is not to avoid challenges, but to meet them with courage and sincerity. Stoicism teaches us that living rightly is not always easy, but it is always worth it. So speak up and let your truth be the light that guides not just you, but everyone who crosses your path. Leave a comment saying, "Stand for truth," as a pledge that you will never stay silent in the face of wrongdoing. When you choose to speak up, you not only protect your own values, but also inspire others to rise for the truth. This is the mark of courageous and principled individuals, those who not only transform situations, but also affirm their inner strength, becoming an unshakable source of power. Once you've committed to standing for truth, the next essential step is to be ready to confront mistakes, whether they are your own or others. Integrity is not just about speaking the truth. It's also about the ability to acknowledge and correct what isn't right. Owning up to mistakes is not a sign of weakness or failure. It is an opportunity for growth and learning. In our next lesson, we'll explore why facing and fixing mistakes is a cornerstone of becoming the best version of yourself. Number 3, correct mistakes to foster growth. Mistakes, when ignored, are like small cracks in a dam. At first, they may seem insignificant, easy to overlook, but over time, the trickle of water seeping through these cracks can grow into an unstoppable flood, leading to catastrophic failure. Correcting mistakes isn't merely a matter of fixing what's broken. It's about embracing responsibility and safeguarding truth and dignity. In Stoicism, confronting errors is seen as an act of courage and virtue, a testament to living an ethical and meaningful life. Silence when action is needed is not just avoidance, it's a betrayal of our highest ideals. Picture a situation from everyday life. You're working on an important team project. A colleague unintentionally inputs incorrect data, putting the entire project at risk. You notice the mistake, but hesitation creeps in. Should I speak up? Will pointing this out embarrass them in front of the group? Silence might feel easier in that moment, keeping the peace and avoiding a confrontation. But consider the cost. What happens when the report is submitted with that error? The consequences ripple outward, affecting not just the team's reputation, but the trust and collaboration you've worked to build. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "If anyone can prove and show to me that I think and act in error, I will gladly change it, for I seek the truth, by which no one ever was truly harmed." Seeking truth is not about blame, but about collective growth and integrity. Correcting mistakes is not an act of criticism. It's an expression of compassion and constructive intent. How you address the mistake makes all the difference. A respectful approach, framed with humility, can turn a potential conflict into an opportunity for growth. For instance, saying, "I think there's a detail here that might need another look. Shall we check it together?" can resolve the issue while preserving trust and dignity. This isn't just about fixing errors. It's about fostering an environment where accountability is met with understanding, not fear. The same principle applies in family life. Imagine a father discovering that his child has lied about their school grades. He could choose anger and punishment, but instead he decides to sit down and ask, "Does this feel like the right choice for who you want to be? How can we work together to improve this?" In doing so, he not only helps the child correct their behavior, but also teaches a valuable lesson about honesty and accountability. These moments of correction, handled with care, sow seeds of wisdom that grow far beyond the immediate situation. Stoicism reminds us that addressing mistakes is part of the journey to becoming our best selves. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." The courage to act today, whether it's admitting our own errors or helping others correct theirs, creates ripples that shape the future. Choosing silence might seem like a way to maintain peace, but it often allows greater harm to unfold. Speaking up, however uncomfortable it may feel, sets a precedent for honesty, integrity, and shared progress. Silence in the face of a mistake is often justified by the desire to keep the peace. But is that peace truly sustainable? Organizations, families, and communities cannot thrive if mistakes are routinely ignored or swept under the rug. A leader who admits and addresses errors not only safeguards their credibility, but also inspires those around them to value truth and accountability. By stepping forward to correct a mistake, you're not merely protecting immediate outcomes. You're encouraging others to embrace their responsibilities and strive for excellence. Consider another real-world example. In a workplace, you notice a colleague heading in the wrong direction on an important project. Staying silent might avoid temporary discomfort, but in the long run, the consequences could be far worse. Similarly, in friendships, failing to point out a friend's destructive behavior isn't an act of kindness. It's a disservice to the relationship. Correcting mistakes, whether in personal or professional settings, is a way to build trust, foster growth, and ensure lasting connections. The most vital question to ask yourself is, what will my silence lead to? It's tempting to remain quiet to sidestep an awkward confrontation. But the measure of one's character lies not in avoidance, but in the willingness to face what's difficult and uncomfortable. By addressing mistakes, you're not only preventing harm, but also contributing to an environment where people feel supported in their own growth. Life is a tapestry of imperfections, and no one is exempt from making mistakes. Yet what sets us apart is how we respond to them. Speaking up isn't about blame or judgment. It's about safeguarding what's right pursuing what's just, and staying true to the values you hold dear. When you choose to act, you're not only mending a crack in the dam, but also reinforcing the foundation of a stronger, more resilient community. So ask yourself, will you choose silence or will you rise to do what's right? That decision doesn't just define the moment, it defines you and the world you're helping to shape. We've now passed the halfway point of today's journey. This is the perfect moment to pause, reflect, and take a moment to celebrate yourself. You've shown that you're not like the majority. You have the courage to listen, to reflect, and to let your voice rise when it truly matters. That is something truly admirable. Stay with us because we're about to uncover the remaining situations where silence is not an option. These are moments that have the power to reshape how you view life, how you act, and how you influence the world around you. Are you ready to continue? Let's step into the second half of this journey with renewed energy and unwavering determination. Number 4, raise your voice against injustice. Injustice is not an abstract concept confined to philosophical debates. It is a harsh reality that infiltrates every corner of life. It erodes core values like fairness, trust, and dignity, acting like a silent toxin that can decay an entire community if left unchecked. Yet the saddest truth is that, rather than confronting it, people often choose silence. They believe that silence preserves peace, but in reality, it fuels the flames that nurture the shadow of injustice. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee." Allowing injustice to persist and spread doesn't just harm the victims, it ultimately harms all of us, including those who turn a blind eye. Why do we remain silent in the face of injustice? Often the answer lies in fear. We fear confronting those more powerful than us, fear criticism, fear isolation in a crowd. But have you ever asked yourself if that fear is worth more than another person's dignity? Is safeguarding your temporary comfort more valuable than standing up to stop injustice? The truth is, by staying silent, you betray not only those who are suffering, but also the moral values you claim to uphold. Silence is never a neutral choice. It doesn't just make you an observer, it makes you complicit in wrongdoing. You might think you're simply staying out of it, but your silence hands power to the perpetrator. Injustice is like a festering wound. The more it is ignored, the worse it becomes. Left untreated, it infects everything around it, making healing exponentially harder. Imagine this familiar scenario. At your workplace, a colleague is unjustly criticized in front of everyone for a mistake they didn't make. Your silence in that moment doesn't just leave your colleague feeling abandoned, it sends a silent message that such unfair treatment is acceptable. But what if you spoke up? What if you simply said, "I think we should reassess this situation"? That small, sincere statement could create a space for fairness. A single honest word can shift the perspective of an entire group, restoring the dignity of the wrong person. Not everyone has the courage to act, but Stoicism reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. Seneca once wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Challenges are not the reason we fail to act. It is our lack of courage that makes us believe they're insurmountable. Consider this: if you don't muster the bravery to act, who will? And if everyone succumbs to fear and chooses silence, what kind of world are we creating? Standing against injustice doesn't require extraordinary feats or heroic acts. Sometimes it's as simple as speaking the truth and refusing to be complicit through silence. In a meeting, when you defend someone who has been wrongfully judged, you're not just protecting them, you're sending a powerful message that justice is non-negotiable. When you see a student being bullied in the schoolyard and you intervene, you're not only helping the victim, but also showing the bully that their actions won't be tolerated. These seemingly small acts carry immense ripple effects. When you stand up, you're not only safeguarding what's right, but also inspiring others to do the same. Remember, a single candle can light thousands of others without losing its own flame. Speaking out against injustice is not just a moral obligation. It's how we build a healthier, stronger community. When you have the courage to stand for truth, you strengthen trust and solidarity among those around you. People will remember you not just for your words, but for the integrity and courage you've demonstrated. This in turn positions you as a catalyst for meaningful change. Life is filled with moments that test our courage and integrity. Sometimes it's standing up to a bully who preys on the vulnerable. Other times it's refusing to turn a blind eye to corruption or defending a friend against unfair criticism. These situations don't demand perfection or fearlessness. They simply call for the choice to do what is right over what is easy. True peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. When you speak up, you're not just protecting others. You're protecting yourself from moral decay. Marcus Aurelius was right. What harms the collective ultimately harms the individual. We do not exist in isolation. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever stood up against injustice in your life? It might have been a small yet meaningful moment or a situation that pushed you to overcome your fears to defend what's right. Share your stories, thoughts, or reflections in the comments. Every word you share not only spreads a spirit of justice, but also inspires others to take action. Don't hesitate. Your voice has more power than you might realize. Number 5, share your knowledge to make a difference. We often think of knowledge as a personal asset, a reward earned through time and experience. But for those who embrace the principles of Stoicism, knowledge is far more than a private treasure. It is a responsibility, a duty to share and create meaningful change. Choosing silence when you have the opportunity to offer something valuable is not just a disservice to others. It is a refusal to honor your own potential to be part of something greater. Think about the times you've stood at a crossroads where your knowledge or experience could have helped someone else. Perhaps it was a moment when you noticed a younger colleague struggling under the weight of workplace pressures, their exhaustion etched across their face. You might have told yourself, "They'll figure it out eventually," and walked away. But what if you had chosen differently? What if you had said, "I've been where you are. Let me share how I managed to get through it"? A simple, sincere gesture like that can become a guiding light in the dark, a spark of hope in a moment of despair. Stoicism reminds us that every action contributes to the fabric of the community we are a part of. When you withhold knowledge that could benefit others, you aren't just harming them, you're weakening the collective strength of the society you live in. Imagine sitting in a meeting where a team member proposes a flawed plan that you know will lead to failure. Do you remain silent and let the mistake unfold, or do you speak up and share your insights? Silence in this case isn't humility or patience, it's indifference. And indifference is the enemy of trust and meaningful relationships. Sharing knowledge doesn't require grand gestures or profound expertise. It can be as simple as offering wisdom gained from everyday life. Imagine a friend grieving a deep personal loss. While you've experienced something similar, your words don't have to be perfect. They only need to come from the heart. A gentle phrase like, "I know this is incredibly hard. I went through something similar, and I'm here if you'd like to talk," can open a door to understanding and connection. People don't expect you to have all the answers, but they do need to know you're willing to try. Reflect on the lessons you've learned from others. Perhaps a teacher's advice, a friend's encouragement, or even the words of a stranger. Those moments, however fleeting, likely left a profound mark on you. Now you have the opportunity to be that source of guidance for someone else. That's why Stoicism teaches that sharing isn't about seeking recognition or applause. It's an act that reflects your commitment to the greater good. An essential aspect of sharing knowledge is humility. You don't share to showcase how much you know. You share to help others find their own way. Your story, no matter how meaningful, is not the only solution. But the key is to show up, extend your hand, and say, "I'm here, and I'm willing to help." This simple act of empathy and connection can be transformative. In modern life, there are countless opportunities where your knowledge can make a tangible difference. Picture a younger colleague starting their career, struggling with challenges you've already navigated. A small piece of advice, a brief anecdote from your journey can save them time, energy, and mistakes. Or consider a friend searching for ways to build confidence. You may not be an expert, but your experiences, your failures, fears, and how you overcame them can be exactly what they need to hear to find strength within themselves. When we choose to share knowledge, we deepen the bonds that connect us to others. It's how we build trust, strengthen relationships, and enrich our own lives. More importantly, it's how we live in alignment with the values of Stoicism, a philosophy rooted in service to the common good. Your actions may not change the entire world, but they can profoundly impact one person's world, and that in itself is extraordinary. Stoicism teaches us not only to master ourselves, but to use our understanding to benefit those around us. When the opportunity arises to help someone, remember that it is not only your duty to them, it is also a gift to yourself. As Freire said, "Whoever teaches, learns in the act of teaching, and whoever learns, teaches in the act of learning." By sharing, you don't just impart knowledge. You nurture growth in yourself and others alike. Don't let silence hold you back from creating something beautiful. Let the knowledge you hold become a light for others, because in giving it away, you illuminate your own path as well. In the shared glow of wisdom and connection, we all become stronger, more united, and profoundly human. We've just explored 5 situations where silence is not an option. Moments that call for the courage to stand for the truth, correct mistakes, fight against injustice, or simply share knowledge to improve someone else's life. These lessons are not abstract theories, but practical reminders to live a life of integrity, meaning, and purpose. Your voice, when used at the right moment, can become a powerful tool to transform not just your own life, but also the lives of those around you. Remember, silence is not always a sign of humility. Sometimes it's a sign of indifference to what's right. Choose to speak up for yourself, for others, and for the values you hold dear. That choice is a testament to your courage and your commitment to living in alignment with Stoicism. If you found value in this video and haven't yet hit the like button, take a moment to show your support. It means the world to us. Share your thoughts in the comments below, or tell us about a situation where you think speaking up is vital but wasn't mentioned in the video. Don't forget to share this video with those you care about. Someone out there might need to hear this message today. And finally, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's so much more inspiring content on its way, and we can't wait to continue this journey with you. Together, let's amplify the good, one word, one action at a time.